Alles Klotz Productions.
After the success of Sonic 2, Sega needed to tide people over for the 1993 holiday season because Sonic 3 wouldn't be ready until '94. That's why they released two spin-off games for those needy Sonic fans: Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine and Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball. Or just Sonic Spinball. Which is it?
Similarly to Mean Bean, which I covered in my previous video, I came across this game for the first time when I got the Sonic Mega Collection Plus for the PlayStation 2. And I gotta be honest, I pretty much skipped this one and didn't give it a real shot.
While I love the pinball mechanics in Sonic 2's Casino Night Zone, I didn't exactly need an entire game based around that concept. Later, when I got the Sonic Gems collection for the GameCube, I was surprised to see that it also included Sonic Spinball, but for the Game Gear, which came out in '94. Europe even got a Master System port in '95, which I've never played. Let's just say I was even less interested in the 8-bit port. The same used to be true for Mean Bean Machine, but when I gave that game a chance recently, it surprised me. I liked it way more than I expected.
That made me think, could Sonic Spinball also be a hidden gem that I dismissed in the past for all the wrong reasons? That's what we're here to figure out today as I take a deep look at both the 16 and 8-bit ports of this game. No PR spin, just honesty. Let's see if this game can flip my opinion.
GFrom, the gamer will legend. He's come to show you the way in this world of games. GFrom reviews.
Whereas Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine was the only game based on the adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Spinball is the only game based on the Sonic SatAM cartoon. I had to look this up because I don't recall ever being aware of this show as a kid. I only knew the Adventure series.
Isn't it weird that two completely different shows ran at the same time? But that's another topic.
The evil bastard Dr. Robotnik built a fortress on top of a volcano where he once again turns innocent animals into robot slaves. His corporate greed has no limit. Chaos Emeralds keep the volcano in stable condition. These are protected by a pinball defense system.
What? You don't have a pinball defense system to protect your loved ones? Do you even care about them?
Sonic and Tails try to attack the fortress by plane but get shot down. The blue blur nearly drowns but emerges in a cave. He gets born again. So from here on out he may be only referred to as Ball. Gameplay is easily explained. When Ball is in his ball form, you use the A and B button to control the left and right flipper respectively, or the C button to use both at once. In contrast to regular pinball, you can control the ball to a certain extent. There are situations where you're not in ball form. Here you can walk, jump, and perform the super spin dash. Although I'd rather call it the "Are you freaking serious" spin dash because this is awkward as hell, especially near an edge. Generally, I have to ask, what happened to the controls? Jumping is awful. There's no momentum whatsoever and the perfect controls from previous games are completely gone. It just feels wrong. This is probably due to the very short development time Sega Technical Institute had. It just makes the game feel unfinished. In ball form, the controls aren't that bad though. The frame rate is kind of choppy. Not hideous, but it's noticeable and puts me off a bit. The standards for this game clearly are B tier. The goal is to get all Chaos Emeralds in a level in order to progress to the boss. To get there, you often have to perform very specific tasks like activating buttons or destroying obstacles. Sometimes enemies get in your way, but they can't hurt you. The only way to die is to fall off the pinball table. You start with 3 lives, but for every 20 million points you get an extra ball. You get points for pretty much everything.
Since it's very easy to die and there are no continues or passwords, I've never been this happy about extra blue balls in my entire life. Not even lying.
The status strip on top of the screen gives you all sorts of information, so it's best to pay attention to what it says. Finally, you can choose if you want to play the game on normal or fast. I take normal.
I think that covers the basics, so let's flippity flip our way through the levels.
For the longest time, Toxic Caves was the only level I knew. I had no idea what to do, so the few attempts I made at this game in the past were dismal. At first I felt equally frustrated. You bounce around and get points for pretty much everything you do. But what's the goal? Where do I go? That's where the status strip comes in handy. I need to collect 3 Chaos Emeralds. Okay, where are they? One is up there in the toxic slime or whatever that's supposed to be. By touching 2 buttons, you drain it and expose the emerald. Certain holes transport you to another part of the map. They can be irritating if you touch them by accident. The biggest challenge is to get to the next part of the map. Often you have to get inside a tunnel or something and you have to be perfect. I have a lot of trouble with precision, so I miss my target most of the time. So I have to keep trying and trying. Dying resets the map, but at least you get to keep the emeralds and points you collected. Falling off the table usually results in a painful death, but sometimes you can save yourself. Whoa! Better get the F out of here. Getting to the exit too early just gives you a message about how many emeralds are still missing. With 3 of them collected, I can face the first boss. Scorpius. No, not Scorpius from Farscape. A robo-scorpion with Robotnik's face.
This scorpion is not as fast or as agile, but its powerful pincers and sting make it every bit as deadly.
He looks frightening, but is surprisingly easy to defeat. Just jump on him a couple of times and that's it. Overall, Toxic Caves is pretty confusing at first, but once you get the hang of the gameplay and the layout, it's not that bad actually. After that gruesome fight to the death, you get to play a bonus stage. This time it's a regular game of pinball. You get 3 balls and hey, what the fuck was that? That's why I'm not a big fan of pinball in general. The goal is to destroy the capsules in the back. Once they're gone, you can get rid of Robotnik. It's quite fun, but can be over very quickly. Lava Powerhouse feels bigger in scope and it has more complicated terrain. With pressure cannons you can gain speed and open gates. By pushing the jump button you also activate steam vents to get to higher places. These are a real pain, especially if you also need to bounce off of a robot chicken. Not a fun mechanic. I missed this emerald a few times because I failed to realize that you have to use the steam vents here as well. I know the status strip told me, but it's not always easy to pay attention to it with everything going on. New in this stage are score multipliers. These are activated by lighting up certain gates. Awesome if you want to win the point lottery. After getting 3 emeralds you can enter the boss area where you find Roboiler. 4 Robotnik heads in a boiler. Clever. It's the stuff of mildly uncomfortable nightmares. It's also not difficult, just a little annoying. You can only stand on these platforms for a little while before they tilt. Plus you can only destroy 1 head at a time. With the exception of the steam vents, the level is alright. It would have been over a lot quicker had I known about this mechanic earlier. The second bonus stage is weird. Knock out Robotnik's teeth.
What kind of doctor is he anyway?
Hopefully not a dentist. The machine. Ugh. I gotta be honest, this level drove me insane. I especially hate the beginning. This is the only level with moving platforms and they get in the way all the time. The power chambers are so annoying as well. As I said, I'm not good with precision, so getting out of this area was such a pain in the ass. I got back to this area all the time, so it just felt like Groundhog Day. What I once again missed the first time around was that the status strip told me to do the flipper catch here. This makes the flipper move up. On the left side of the map you're forced to do it, and oh my god, I messed this up way too many times. So boring. In the center you have to open animal cages, which make you bounce around all over the place. All fine and dandy as long as you don't fall down to another area and have to make your way up again. Oh, and did I mention that you have to collect 5 emeralds here?
Yeah, 5. Woohoo.
After over 20 minutes I finally made it to the boss. Vego Machine. Or Vego Machine, I don't know. This is the machine that turns the animals into robots. It's one thing to hear about it, but another to actually see it. I mean, these birds first turn into cat skeletons and then into robot chickens. This evil sorcery must be stopped. Destroy the tubes and then get inside the machine to overheat it. Another easy boss that takes a little while when you suck at aiming. There's no doubt in my mind that this is my least favorite level of the game. There is nothing appealing about it and it just frustrates me from beginning to end. Awful stage in my opinion. The third bonus stage, come on, there was nothing I could do. Here you have to destroy multiple scratches and then the capsule.
Speaking of bonus stages, there is a 4th bonus stage that can be accessed if you collect every ring within a level. I never managed to do it, however.
Showdown is the final level. Yeah, there are only 4 levels, but I don't mind that. This stage is gigantic. Once again, you need 5 emeralds. So screw 7 Chaos Emeralds. In this game, you have 16 and they're all blue.
Should Sonic turn into Super Magic Bedazzled Sonic with that many Chaos Emeralds?
Whereas the machine is the most annoying level, Showdown is the most difficult. It's so easy to die here, and on my first attempt, I got a game over. That means I had to start the game from the beginning. A continue would have been nice. The sheer size of the level is a bit overwhelming at first. This particular part right here gave me the most trouble, again because of precision. With all emeralds in your position, you have to make your way up to Robotnik's rocket. And here he is, the bad dentist himself. I'll say it right off the bat, I hate this boss fight. First off, is Robotnik a giant? Look how huge he is. You have to damage the glass dome 10 times. That in itself would be easy, but the douche has 2 ways to protect himself. First, he has claws that grab you. They're not too bad. Worse are the wind socks. They'll fling you against the windows, which break after 3 times. That means you fall out of the rocket and have to make your way up all over again. That is some tedious bullshit. You can make the claws and wind socks disappear by hitting this switch 3 times. What I hate most is that you can't see what Robotnik is doing and the game doesn't tell you how many times you hit the switch. Smacking the thing too often brings his protection back. So it's just a guessing game and a pretty awful one. Beating him triggers a cutscene. The not-so-giant Robotnik falls to his doom while Ball gets rescued by Tails. Go Tails, you did something useful. The fort crumbles and the game is over. I'm not a big fan of Showdown either, particularly because of the boss. The level doesn't do much for me. I tried replaying the game on fast for a few minutes before I got annoyed and gave up. Instead, I decided to give the Game Gear port a shot. If the Mega Drive game already had frame rate issues, what can I expect from this version? There are 2 difficulty settings, easy and normal. Easy just reduces the number of drop targets you have to hit, so I started with that. One awesome addition is that there are continues and you get to choose if you want 3, 5 or 7. Why would I pick anything other than 7? Here we also get a cutscene at the beginning, but it's obviously much more basic and nobody gets shot down. Gameplay is exactly the same, so let's start with the levels right away. The first level isn't called Toxic Caves, but Toxic Pools. Interesting. Is it a different level? Yes, it is. It shares visual themes, but that's about it. The layout is completely different. Electricity acts as a safety net and prevents you from falling off the board. For beginners like me, that's a welcome addition. The level is equally confusing at first. The frame rate is even worse than on Mega Drive, which isn't a surprise knowing the Game Gear hardware. Strangely, I got used to it right away. One thing I noticed is that the controls on foot are much better. They still don't compare to any of the previous Game Gear games, but there is actually some fluidity going on here. Jumping isn't as stiff and even the spin dash feels somewhat useful. So in that regard, I feel this game plays better so far. Who would have seen that coming? The status strip pauses the game and interrupts the flow. You can skip it though. The boss is different, but it doesn't put up much of a fight. A bit anticlimactic because there's no boss music. So even though this isn't a great stage, I enjoyed it a bit more than any of the Mega Drive stages. Lava Powerhouse and the machine are almost identical to their 16-bit counterparts, so I won't go into detail here. The steam vents in the former level are a bit easier to handle in my experience. I had much less problems with the machine, but I still can't stand this level. Although I died more often, I could always count on my extra balls and continues. Speaking of extra balls, I found a neat little secret here. Pretty cool! Both bosses are similar to what we've already seen. Overall, I had a better time with both levels than before, but there is one level left. It's not called Showdown, but Final Showdown. Aw yeah, shit's getting serious. It's also pretty similar to its big brother when it comes to layout, but it's way easier. The backgrounds are completely different however, giving it a unique feel. The final boss is also different, but in a good way. It's not based so much on trial and error, but instead on precise jumps. That works quite well. I can see why they didn't do that on the Mega Drive, because with these poor controls it would have never worked. So yeah, I enjoyed this one more too. There's one aspect I haven't talked about yet, the bonus stages. These are not pinball based, but instead act as platform stages. There are a total of 3 different bonus levels and they appear automatically after each of the first 3 stages. Each level has 3 cages that are filled with rings, bumpers, treasure boxes and enemies. By collecting at least half of the rings in a cage, you can progress to the next. These are not revolutionary by any means, but are a welcome change of pace. Still, with the weird controls, it's a bit awkward to play. I'm certain these wouldn't have worked on the Mega Drive either, which I can't wrap my head around.
Before we get to the conclusion, I want to talk about the music and sound.
The sound on Mega Drive is pretty terrible, I gotta be honest. The sound effects are scratchy and get on my nerves fast. It's constant bleeps and bloops, which would be fine on an older system, but here it doesn't work for me. And they're just too loud. On Game Gear there are some irritating sounds like the electricity, but overall the sounds don't come up as frequently and they feel much more fitting for the system they're on. Not great by any means, but I don't feel like turning the volume down to 0 like I did on the Mega Drive at times. The music on the other hand is pretty decent on both platforms. They sound nothing like the platformers and can't reach the quality of those masterpieces. The 16-bit game has that distinct Mega Drive sound and you know I'm a fan of that. The theme song is short but pretty great considering it was created within 2 hours. None of the tracks really stand out that much and you don't hum Sonic Spinball tunes after shutting the game off. The only track I don't like is The Machine. It just adds insult to injury. Super boring and repetitive, especially when you're spending 30 minutes here like I did. The Showdown is also quite repetitive, but at least it has some rock elements I can appreciate. I have similar feelings about the boss theme. The 8-bit game has more melodic tracks. None of them really stick with me here either, but most of them enhance the experience a bit. It's always easier to put yourself through something you don't enjoy that much with the right music. While I again don't care too much about The Machine and Final Showdown, the rest is solid. A good example would be Toxic Pools. Nothing special, but good in its own right.
This time I'll do a top 3, but we'll combine both soundtracks as there aren't that many standout tracks. So here are my top 3 songs from Sonic Spinball on Mega Drive and Game Gear.
Number 3. The best track on the handheld has a catchy melody and varies throughout, making it less repetitive than most other songs. Number 2. This is the most well-known jam of Spinball and deservedly so. It sounds unique and fresh with some funky elements thrown in. Too bad the loud sound effects keep me from enjoying it most of the time. Number 1. This might come unexpected, but I love the bass line on this track. I keep bobbing my head to the rhythm and it sounds kind of badass. A hidden gem in my opinion.
Let's wrap this up.
I hoped I would enjoy Sonic Spinball like I did Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, but unfortunately that's not the case at all. The Mega Drive game has some decent music and the visuals are great for the most part. I like how the majority of the levels look. They are colorful and have appealing backgrounds. It's just that the layout is pretty confusing and will put most new players off. Some of the objectives are so damn specific that they made me pull my hair out at times. The first 2 levels aren't that bad, but the second half cranks up the annoyance factor to 11. It's pretty difficult too when you consider that there are no continues. It only has 4 levels, but it takes me longer to beat this game than it does to beat most other Sonic games I've reviewed so far. I wouldn't mind that if the game was fun, but it really isn't. The poor frame rate and awful controls on foot make it very difficult for me to enjoy it. I like the bonus stages, I'll give it that. Now the Game Gear version got a little more praise from me, but that's only because the bar was so low. The frame rate is even worse, and although the controls are better, they are still very weird. For an 8-bit game it looks okay, and the pinball mechanics aren't half bad. The overall music is better and I prefer the bonus stages. With the more forgiving difficulty and less annoying sound effects, I wasn't irritated all the time. Still, the level layout is all over the place and navigating your way to the Chaos Emeralds can be a real struggle. I can't say I like any of the ports. They're not super bad or anything, I've definitely played worse, but this is far from good. Overall, and I did not expect this before I played them, I prefer the Game Gear version for the better controls and less irritating sound. Of the games I've reviewed so far, I have to rank it at the very bottom. I didn't like Sonic Chaos that much either, but that game is much more playable. Sonic Spinball isn't a game I can recommend with a good conscience. It feels unpolished. From what I've read, the developers felt the same, being forced to release the game with too little development time to really flesh out the engine and gameplay. If you have fond memories of this game from the past, then I'm sure you liked it for all the right reasons.
With no nostalgia at play, I couldn't get into it and would guess that most people would feel the same. With more practice, I might enjoy it more over time, but I have no desire to do so. One thing is certain. I won't be calling myself a spinball wizard anytime soon.
Hey everyone, this is GFrom. Thank you so much for watching episode 10 of season 2. Feel free to rate, comment, subscribe and follow me on Instagram. I'll see you later. Have a nice day.